Hi, I'm Sophie and welcome to my world. You know, people are always asking me for unique accessories, jewelry, purses, shoes, that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to teach you how to take a magazine and turn it into this adorable clutch purse. And it's perfect for carrying things like your cell phone, a little makeup for touch-ups, even a little money. You like my money clip? Isn't that fancy? So I'm going to show you how to make a magazine into a clutch purse right now. For this project, you're going to need a magazine. Now, it's awesome if you can have like a fashion magazine or a comic book or something like that. I have a balloon image magazine, but it's awesome whatever kind of magazine you want to use. I'm going to be using a little bit of this elastic. This is Crafter's elastic. It's pretty thin, but it's not skinny, skinny, skinny. It's 1 millimeter. I've got a few jewels. This is an option if you want to add a little jewel sparkle to your buttons when you're done. For the buttons, I want to make sure that I have two different sets. I want to make sure that I have one button that's larger and has 4 holes, and then I want another one that's the same size with 2 holes. Then I want the second set of buttons, both of them to have 2 holes, and one can be smaller than the other in this case. But in the first one, we want to make sure we have 1 4 and 1 2 hole button, and the rest can be 2 hole buttons. I'm going to be using clear packing tape, but you want to make sure that you're using a good thickish packing tape, not a thin brittle packing tape. And this one I'm using is actually a Duck brand, but Scotch brand makes a very good packing tape as well. Scissors, of course. Then I've got my X-Acto knife, just make sure that you're careful. And then I've got a popsicle stick or tongue depressor and my handy dandy contact paper. Your contact paper would come in a very, very large roll. But what I've done here is I've cut off a piece that is slightly bigger than my magazine. So see how there's about 1/4 of an inch here and 1/4 of an inch there. That's what we want to make sure that we have at least 1/4 inch on either side. And I want to make sure that I've got enough space that I can cover my entire magazine. So you want to just make sure that you have enough contact paper, that you've got extra on either side. Now what I did when I did this is I cut it out, got my piece. Contact paper has a tendency to roll up on itself, so I like to work with smaller pieces rather than larger pieces. Some people would tend to cover their magazine cover with one big piece and fold it over, but I don't like to work that way because I find that the contact paper does exactly what it's doing right now, which is its nature, which is to roll. So instead, what I do is I fold my contact paper in half, give it a nice good crease, and then I cut it right down the center here. In the meantime, I end up with 2 pieces, of course. In the meantime, what I'm going to do here is open up my magazine, and with my X-Acto knife, my fabulous X-Acto knife, I'm going to cut the cover of the magazine off right at the seam. There we go. Now, I have tried ripping it, and what ends up usually happening is I get a jagged edge here. I don't want that for my purse, and so because of that, I use an X-Acto knife. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to cover this front and back with our contact paper. So I've already covered the first one on this one, and I'm going to get my second piece here. So you want to get your contact paper and you want to peel it so that about 2 inches is back. 2 inches of the paper is back. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to line up my edges. So I've already put on my first piece, and I just laid that on the front. I'm going to lay my second piece on the back here and line it up, top to top, and seal that nice and good. Now I can slowly start pulling my paper back, and I can start smoothing the contact paper. So you can do this as you go along. Now, if you want to, you can pull the whole thing off in one fell swoop, just like that, and start smoothing down. Now, one of the things I was hoping I would get, and it looks like I've got one, is a little bubble. See that little bubble there? what you want to do, if you get a bubble that you can't seem to smooth out with your popsicle stick or tongue depressor, and you can see how that works really, really well. But let's pretend that we can't get that smoothed out. Can't get that smoothed out, take an X-Acto knife, give it a tiny little cut, and then that will let the air come out. So see that tiny little cut allows the air to come out and allows you to smooth out all your creases. Now, once you're done all that, you're going to trim. So I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch, and that's all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my packing tape and I'm going to lay a piece of it, half on, half off, right here on the edge. I'm going to lay that down and then using my X-Acto knife, trim it. Always make sure that you leave the end of your packing tape either folded over or stuck to something, otherwise you're going to be searching for it and searching for it. Now at this point we're actually going to be adding the buttons because we want to make sure that we're tying off in the center of our purse, on the inside of our purse, so that we get a nice clean outside edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up my magazine to make it into the size clutch that I want. I'm going to put one button here and then I'm going to put one button here. So what I'm going to do is figure out where I want those buttons. I have to find the center point. So to find the center point, all I'm going to do is fold this once again in half, longwise. That's going to give me the center. And then with my X-Acto knife, I'm going to make a tiny little cut. And I'm giving myself a little bit of space from the edge, about close to 1 inch. And I'm cutting and I'm making a little hole. And it's not a very big hole here. As you can see, it's about 1/2 inch. So I've made my little cut. Then I want to fold this over and I want to figure out exactly where I'm going to put my other button. And I'm going to put it right about here. So with my finger, I have marked. And I'm going to again do that little 1/2 inch cut, not much. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to push it and open it up just a little bit. And then let me just check and make sure that I've got it in the right spot, because if I didn't get it in the right spot, I could always put a piece of packing tape over there and do that again. So the first thing I'm going to do is add my bottom button. And find that little hole. And I'm actually going to put my X-Acto knife into it so that I don't lose it. I'm going to take the elastic here and cut a piece about 6 to 8 inches long. This is the button that I want to use. It's the 2 buttons. These are the double buttons. I want to slide this through so that it loops through. And then I want to pull these so that they're pretty even. And from the front, coming from the front, where that hole is, I want to feed these through to the back. Now, this is always a little teeny bit tricky, so you might want to use your scissors here to help you push it through to the back and pull it through. Push it through to the back, and pull it through. Okay, so there you go. Now, once you've got it in here, take your elastic and just tie a little knot. Just a double knot, once, twice. Now take your button, and this is the button that has the 2. Feed it through. 1 string through one side, 1 string through the other side. And now here's where you want to pull really nice and tight and tie it off. Now the reason that I am putting a button on the back and a button on the front is so that it does not pull through. And I'm going to put a really nice tie here. Tie it once, tie it twice. You can even tie it a few times more if you want to. But once I'm done tying that, I can snip this pretty close because I'm going to actually come back and put a little dab of hot glue. Remember I told you we had a hot glue gun going here? So put a little dab of hot glue right there. That's going to seal that, keep that from going anywhere. But you can see on the front, it's nice and clean. If I had done this backwards, I would have ended up with my knot on the front, and that would not have been as clean and not as nice. Okay, now for the top button, we're going to be doing something a little bit differently. Remember I told you to get that 4 button? Okay, so we've got a 4-hole button here. What I'm going to do is take my elastic, give myself a little bit more this time, because this is going to be the loop that ties it off. So I'm going to fold this up, make sure this is dry so it's not going to stick anywhere. And actually at this point in time, since it's cooled down enough, I'm going to take my piece of tape. I'm just going to seal this with a nice piece of tape. Now fold this up and over. And you want to figure out how big your loop needs to be. Now the way I like to do this is I like to make my loop, I like to put it on here around my button, but I like to put it on and not pull, because as you fill this up, you're going to need this to get stretched. So you want to just make it at the normal size so that you're not stretching it out, because if you stretch it, then you're not going to have any place to go. So I've got it kind of loose-ish right there, and I note where that is with my fingers, and I tie this off with a little knot. So I end up with kind of basically like a little hangman's noose there. See that? There we go. So now that goes onto there, and that's about perfect. Now, this part here, I'm going to trim this so that I have nice, easy to thread. This is going to go through the underside of your button. This is why we wanted a 4-sider. So I'm going to put one in one side, one in the other, bring it up and through. So this is on the back side, see that? Then I'm going to crisscross and take one side of the string down through the other buttonhole and the other string down through the other buttonhole. Again, the reason I did that is so that I would end up with this in the back and a nice neat front. Okay, now right back here I can tie just one little tie. It does not have to be a double knot, just a single knot. And now I'm going to feed this through the front. This is the hardest part of the clutch purse. Once you get this done, it's actually pretty easy. Okay, so just going to stick one side through and the other side through. And this is why you can use just a double button in the back. You don't need the foursome, you just need a double button, because now this is just going to secure it in the back. So I'm just going to take that, put it through one side, take the other string, put it through the other buttonhole. Again, you can use a foursome back here if you want to, but you don't need to. And again, just tie this off. Now, again, like we did this one, you're just going to tie that off nice and good, add a drop of glue, let it dry really good, and then put tape over top of it. Now, once you get those buttons in place, it's time to seal the edges. To seal the edges, what we're going to be doing is using packing tape. I'm going to take a piece of packing tape, and we're going to put it on the side here, just like we do with our duct tape projects, half on, half off. This is going to be on the inside, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this flap in, just like that on top of itself. And then, oops, make sure I do the right side. This is the flap, so I want to keep that flap there. This is going to be the bottom, so I'm folding up the bottom onto the edge there. And I've sealed it so that it's sealed on the inside with this clear packing tape. Here's the thing, I want to do these one side at a time. So I've got one side, and then I want to do the second side. so that I end up with this nice pouch that is sealed on both sides from the inside. And now I'm just going to add the final edge. I've already added one edge here. I'm going to do here again, half on, half off. And this is the reason why I suggested to you that you use good, solid packing tape. And now I just fold that over and seal it up. And see, that's all there is to it. You just take your fabulous little loop, and loop it right over there. And that's how you make a magazine into a really cute clutch purse. And now I'm going to fill it with all the stuff that I need for my hot date out with my hubby tonight. I got my cell phone, my makeup for a little touch-up, and, of course, my money. For more great things made from recycled materials, come and check us out at Sophie-World.com.